Hello children, this is Percy D'Souza, TGT Biological Sciences from Balayogi Gurukulam, Kuntamukala. Today we are going to discussing about the third chapter from first year botany, Science of Plants and Botany. In this chapter you are having four subtopics. The first one is the origin, development, scope and branches. Origin. What is the origin? Actually, the plant sciences means the study of plants in all their forms and interaction using a scientific approach, or simply you can say biology in relation to plants. Actually, the word botany comes from a Greek language. So it comes as bios. Bios refers to cattle. So later on, these bios was termed as bosking. That means the cattle feed. And later on, this is again turned into botany. Now we are using as a name botany, widely using as botany. This is the origin. Next, the one is development. How the development started from. So when we observe the development of plant sciences during the period of 4000 BC, the Egyptians, they recorded the information related to crop plants and fruit trees in the form of pictures. That means the usage of the plants is started from so many years back. So during the 4000 BC itself, the Egyptians who were used those plants for sake of crops and as a fruits, they all information they kept in the form of pictures. And later on, during the period of 2500 BC, Chinese learned how to cultivate plants. And later on, 2000 BC, during the period of Atharvana Veda. Atharvana Veda, you might have very familiar with four Vedas, Atharvana Veda, Samya Veda, Rigveda, Yajurveda. So during the period of Atharvana, the people who were lived during that period, they have given more importance on the importance for wealth. So the wealth of information, several medicinal plants were noted, even used during the period of Atharvana Veda. And then during the period of 1300 BC, there was a person, the name of the person was Parsara. So he was a person who has written two books, that is Krishi Parsaram and Vrikshayurveda. So in the Krishi Parsaram, he dealt about the agricultural and about the weeds. That means during his period, he has written a book, Krishi Parsaram. In that book, we find out the information about the agriculture and as well as about the weeds. And he has written also another book, Vrikshayurveda. And this Vrikshayurveda tells about the different types of forests. Different types, that so many forests we are observing. But he has tells about the different types of the forests. So he was the Parsara, and he has written Krishi Parsaram and Vrikshayurveda. So in this Vrikshayurveda, he has tells about the described about the different types of forests and external internal characters of the plants included in that. And then next, there are three philosophers, the Socrates, Plato and Aristotle, and they were responsible for the development of botany into a science actually. So they were these three philosophers has worked on plants. And then another philosopher and early taxonomist, he was also termed as father of botany. The name of the father of botany is Theophrastus. So Theophrastus was regarded as father of botany, and he described the external and internal features of nearly about 500 plants, and he was written a book that is De Historia Plantarum. So in that plant, De Historia Plantarum, he was written a literature about the plants, nearly about 500 plants. And then the next period, during the period of 16th and 17th centuries, these 16th and 17th centuries are termed as herbals. So during these 16th and 17th centuries, there were many scientists who worked mainly on herbals and medicinal plants. So due to that reason, the 16th and 17th century were termed as herbals, and the scientists who worked on those periods were termed as herbalists. So among these, there was a scientist, Gaspard Bahin. During this period of 16th and 17th centuries, Gaspard Bahin published and description, and they identified nearly about 6,000 plants and introduced binomial nomenclature. Actually, you might have come across the word binomial nomenclature. Whenever we talk about the binomial nomenclature, we recall the names. The scientist's name was Carolus Linnaeus. But here what I would like to mention is the binomial nomenclature is introduced first by a scientist named as Gaspard Bahin, and he worked and he identified nearly about 6,000 plants and introducing binomial nomenclature. And then next, during the period of 17th century, in the same period, the Robert Hooke, he was another scientist, Robert Hooke, and he was, you are all well known, it was a very well known name, and he published Micrographia. A book was written by Robert Hooke, and during the 17th period, he discovered the cell structure. And then next, Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, he was another scientist who observed the microscope, and he first studied the bacterial cell for the first time in a living condition. So here you are observing many cells, white blood cells, white blood cells, red blood cells, and yeast cells, and then bacteria cell. These bacteria cell was first discovered by Anthony van Leeuwenhoek during the period of 17th century. Then after there were many scientists worked on this. The scientists' name were Marcello Malfigi, Nehemiah Grew, and Cameron. These are all some of the scientists who worked on the many plants regarding their sexual reproduction and something else. And later is another scientist. Just now I told you that the first person who introduced the binomial nomenclature, that is Gaspard Bahin. But during the period of 18th century, there was a progress in the area of taxonomy and physiology. So, the Swedish botanist who was named as Carolus van Linnaeus, he published binomial nomenclature system. So the binomial nomenclature means a specific living being, that means a living plant, is termed with a two names. One is genus and another one is species. So Carolus Linnaeus developed a two-word naming system called binomial nomenclature. So that is, each species is given a two-part scientific names. That the name is written as Italian. This everything you might have already come across in your previous classes, I think. And then next, some of the scientists like Stephen Hall and Joseph Priestley, they were also conducted many experiments regarding the plants, and they worked on the internal structure of the plants like xylem. And the Joseph Priestley, he discovered the absorption of water through xylem and so on. And the next, the scientists, this is the 18th century. Next, another scientist, you are very familiar with this, the scientist, the Mendel. The Mendel, he was one of the greatest monk, and during that period of the 19th century, different branches of botany and hybridization experiments on pea plants was done by Mendel, John Gregor Mendel. So he was also called as a father of genetics. So during his period, and after the period of the Mendel, and that means during the 18th century itself, along with Carolus Linnaeus and then other like John Priestley and Gregor John Mendel, some other different taxonomists, they also worked and they have given a plant classification. That means different taxonomists like Bentham and Hooker, they were given many information about the plants. And next, during the 20th century, there was a course of evolution we observed. So this is the Darwin, Charles Darwin, who was put forward theory of evolution. So you are very familiar with Darwin's theory of evolution. So in course of time, during the period of 19th century itself, Charles Darwin put forward his efforts through evolution pattern. He was written a book, Theory of Evolution, and this is that means the focus on the elimination of inferior species gradually over time through a process called natural selection. And then after that 20th century, there was another scientist, Hugo de Vries. He was one of the Dutch botanist and one of the first geneticists. He is known as chiefly for suggestion of concept of genes, rediscovering the law of heredity in 1890, and while unaware of Gregor Mendel's work, introduced the term mutation and for developing a mutational theory of evolution. And he was one of the person, Hugo de Vries. And later on, another scientist like Watson and Crick, they were proposed a DNA structure, the double helical structure of DNA. And along with these two, that means during the period of the 20th century, along with Hugo de Vries and Watson and Crick, some other scientists like Sutton and Boveri, they worked on the chromosomal structures, the role of chromosome, how the chromosomes play a major role in the cell of a plant. And then during the 20th century, the plant physiology, there is the most importance was given for plant physiology. And there is another scientist, F.W. Went experiment we find, you might have learned in the 10th class itself. So F.W. Went, when the Charles Darwin is experimented on plants, like where they named as a growth hormones, F.W. Went experimentally proved that plants are having some chemical substances, and those substances he termed as auxins. So the more during the period of the 20th century, the most efforts are put forward by scientists in plant physiology. And then another scientist, the name of the scientist is Sir Hans Krebs, and he is also one of the great scientists, Sir Hans Krebs, who discovered the describe the cycle, that what we call it, and another one is Kelvin, and the Kelvin C3 Kelvin cycle. So he named after the American biochemist Melvin Kelvin, his name, and most commonly used pathway by most plants. So Kelvin cycle is used by plants that are called C3 because of the 3 carbon molecules that are made. About this C3 cycle, you are going to learn clearly in the next second year botany class. And then next one is scope of botany. What is the scope of botany? This is another subtopic. Actually, what is the scope? Here the scope means, what scope refers to? Scope of a botany deals with the course of content of a plant sciences and the utility of a plants in related to mankind. Generally, we are using plants in many ways. So for use of for food purpose, for oxygen, for the purpose of the oxygen, for the purpose of medicines, for so etc etc. So the scope of botany. So during the 20th century, the plants were given a more importance. So during this period, many methods, new methods were implemented by many scientists. So the principles of biotechnology. What is this principles of biotechnology? The enhancing the crop yielding through green revolution. What is the meaning of the green revolution? So actually it refers to, green revolution is refers to a period when Indian agriculture was converted into an industrial due to the adaptation of modern methods and technology. What is the necessity of using a modern methods and technology? Because to get high yield of varieties of in plants. What is the use? What is the essential factor to get for a high yielding of plants? Because of growing population, all the people will need much more food material, whatever it may be, either food in the form of a food and whatever it may be. It is a very essential to grow crops in for sake of high yielding. So for that sake, in India, the green revolution was started by a famous scientist, M.S. Swaminathan. So this is a one thing, and another thing is hybridization and genetics and genetic engineering and agricultural and horticulture and floriculture. These are also the modern techniques which are used by many scientists to get high yield in different aspects. And another one is plant breeding. What is this plant breeding? Plant breeding means developing hybrid varieties in crop plants like rice, wheat, maize and sugar cane, etc. And for the sake of some of the, we have given here rice, wheat. Not only these 4 plants, so many plants. Actually, rice is one of the major food of a human beings on this earth. So, right, wheat, maize and sugar cane are yield was increased by using a technique plant breeding. So you are going to learn elaborately about this plant breeding in the coming classes. Next, phytopathology. Pathology means pathology. Patho means diseases. Phyto means plants. So the phytopathology, here the phytopathology means eradicating of several diseases. Generally, whenever we cultivate the plants may be affected by many kinds of the diseases, obviously. So these diseases, this is a very essential to eradicate the disease. So phytopathology is one of the technique where we can use that technique to eradicate the several diseases in the crop plants. And then another one is medicinal plant. From in the previous itself I told you, from the period of the Vedas, the value of medicines were started or introduced from the by the plants. So the plants are having a large medicinal values. Like in the 10th class itself, you might have come across some of the medicinal plants like cinchona, neem, datura, osmum, isn't it? So these are the medicinal plants were also used a lot for sake of well health. So this is about the scope of botany. Then we'll see another subtopic in this is branches of botany. Actually, the botany is a branch of a science that deals with the study of plants and the process occurring in the plant life. That means the process means physical and chemical principles may involved in that processes, and it deals with the study of plants and fundamental process, the branches. It is a vast subject that included all plant forms and the process related to them. So here you are observing some branches. That means the plants which are having some relation with some other branches. So those botany can be further divided into different subjects or branches depending upon the special processes or a plant forms. So some of these branches we are observing here, and these branches of cytology, cell biology, embryology, cytology or cell biology. So it is the study of a structure and functional organelles of their multiplication. So that means how the structure is, how the particular structure of a function of a cell takes place in the plant. And the so many organelles you might find in the cell, okay, now like a Golgi complex, chloroplast and mitochondria, and each and every organelles are having a specific function. So the cytology or a cell biology is particularly dealt about that information. Then next, embryology. Embryology deals with the study and development of male and female gametophyte. You know very well about the structure of the flower. So in that you find out the male and the female organs. So that is the stamens and ovule. And it's so these embryology is deals with the study of development of male and female gametophytes, and how the formation, how the male gamete forms, how the female gamete forms, how the process of fertilization, how the fertilization takes place in the plants, and development of embryo, how the development, you are very familiar with a male and the female gamete. When they fuse together, there is a formation of a zygote. That process actually what we call it as a fertilization, isn't it? And after the formation of zygote, even in animals and plants, that zygote is later on develops into an embryo. So then later on that embryo is turned into a seed. So from that seed another new plant will get a rise. So that is the embryology. And then palynology is the study of development of structure and all other aspects related to the microspores and pollen grains. So regarding some of the topics, I'll just show you the figures also. And then taxonomy or a systematic botany. This is a taxonomy. In the previous itself I told you. So there were so many taxonomists who worked on the classification of the plants during the period of the 19th century, isn't it? So the taxonomy means it deals with the identification and nomenclature and classification of plants into related groups on the basis of the information obtained from different fields of botany. That means the classification were done by many scientists. That means some kind of plants which are having a similar characters, those are grouped into one um, one one group. So like when we see the classification, you might have come across like a plant kingdom, then order, phylum, class, phylum, order, class, species, genus and species. This is the um, one way. So the classification was done by many scientists. This science of botany is called as palynology. Taxonomy. And the next one is physiology. Physiology is deals with the study of different vital activities of plants like absorption of water and minerals. So in the 21st century, there were many scientists were given a more prominent for the branch of plant physiology. I told you itself in the previous itself. So the plant in the physiology, so it is deals about the plants, like how the plants absorb the water and minerals, and the process of the photosynthesis, how it will takes. That means the preparation of the food material, how it will takes place. So regarding the photosynthesis, you are going to know detailed account in your next previous coming classes. And the respiration, how the plant's respiration takes place, and the nitrogen metabolism, and the growth, how the growth takes place in the plants. And about this also you are going to learn about them in details in the next class. And then another one is plant ecology. It is a study of the reciprocal relationship between the plants and the environment in which they are living. You see, whenever we observe the plants which are present in our surroundings, all are not having the same kind of life pattern, isn't it? So you might have observed some are we are not termed as xerophytes. That means they don't need much more water. And some of the xerophytes, the plants which are live in the hydrophytes, live in the water. So each and every plant are having its own grow in its own environmental condition. So to know about that, the branch of botany is termed as a plant ecology. And another one is paleobotany, so which is deals with the study of fossil plants. It deals us in the understanding the course of evolution in plants. And then another some of the branch like genetics. About the genetics, I already told you that about the Mendes who worked on the hereditary characters in plants and as well as animals also. And then phytogeography, plant pathology. About the plant pathology we discussed. And then phycology, mycology, lichenology, bryology and pteridology. These are all the some of the branches which are involved in the botany. And the phytogeography is a study of geographical distribution of plants in the past and present. That means what kind of plants are distributed in the previous and now present situations. And the plant pathology itself I introduced. Patho means diseases. So in the study of cause, symptoms and methods controlling of plant disease, how in what way we are controlling the diseases. And the phycology is a study of all aspects related to the algae which are chlorophyllous and autotrophic thallophytes. That means in the plants can synthesize the food material due to the presence of the chloroplasm plants, they are having a chlorophyll pigment, they are having the capacity of absorbing the solar energy, and they can synthesize food material. But when we go back once in the previous classes, like classification, you might have come across thallophyta, bryophyta, pteridophyta, and fungi. It cannot synthesize a food, but the thallophyta plants, that means in the thallophyta, algae can synthesize their own food material. They are having autotrophic nutrition. And then another one is mycology. It deals with the study of fungi, which is non-chlorophyllous. Just now I told you, non-chlorophyllous. That means some plants do not have the chlorophyll, that cannot synthesize food material. So they are in the nature of heterotrophic. So these algae and fungi both are comes under the thallophyta, but some difference is there. In the thallophyta, algae can synthesize the food material, whereas fungi cannot synthesize the food material. So depending upon that character, these are divided into phycology and mycology. And then lichenology. What is this lichenology? It is a study of lichens, which are a special group of plants in which an algal member and a fungal member living together. Both are living when both two kinds of plants are having a symbiotic life. That means mutually benefit each other. That means algae can synthesize the food material. That food is given to the fungi, and the fungi cannot synthesize food material, but it gives a shelter to the algae. So by having a mutual benefits, these are having these fungi and algae will show the symbiotic life. And the particular branch, those plants which comes under the lichenology. Then bryology is the study of bryophytes. That means a specific type of plants. About this you are going to learn in the next class, coming chapters. And then pteridology is the study of related pteridophytes, and also known as vascular cryptogams. So this is about the branches of biology. So among these branches, you are going to learn a detailed account regarding some branches. Okay. Then so in the just I told you embryology. This is one of the plant branch in the botany. So in the embryology, the science of the origin and the formation of a new plant. So how the development takes place, fertilization takes place, how the embryo develops from the embryo, how the new seed forms from that seed, how the new plant generates. So in a broader sense, plant embryology deals with the study of all events, starting from microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis, pollination and fertilization, till the development of mature embryo. So this is the plant embryology, just we have already discussed. And then pollen grains, that I told you in the pollenology. Pollen grains and pollen morphology, pollen germination and pollen variability. This we'll see in the pollenology. And then these are the branches. Here in this picture, you are observing pictures. So when you observe these pictures, we'll get a clear idea. Each and every branch is having some correlation with each other. See, when you have seen here the cytology, and this cytology, here the cytology at the top corner, and this cytology having a connection with the plant anatomy and plant physiology, and also as well as the biochemistry. And when we see the plant anatomy here, these plant anatomy have some connection with cytology, plant morphology, and systemic botany and plant taxonomy, so on. So each and every branch of botany is correlated with each other. And this is about the third chapter, that is about the plant sciences. And thank you so much. And what I would like to conclude in the last is, please, all of you, I hope you all of you understood this. If you have any doubts, you can call me, or please write down some notes regarding the science of plants and you submit in the groups. Thank you so much.